regarding the battery life and everything else, and then we should be able to go through over a little 911 repair, quick repair. That's a commonality when somebody's putting these things up into a duct and they drop them and they think they broke them, and actually it's just a safety.
Yeah.
Fix them. So
yeah,
we'll be able to go over that today as well.
Perfect. Well, let's see here. It's we'll give it one more minute and then we'll start in. How's that?
Good.
All right. Yeah. We've if you folks are in the Cleveland area next week, we'll all be in Cleveland. Eric, myself, Lori, Caroline will be in Cleveland at the well, it used to be, what's the show? What's it called this time? They changed the name of it.
It's called Contractors Leadership Live, and it's the Huntington Center in downtown Cleveland on September 13th and 14th.
There you go. So stop and see us. It looks like it's going to be a very good show.
And Bill, you might mention we also have a private training session the evening before, Tuesday, September 12th.
There you go. We're going to be serving beer and pizza, I believe.
Pizza and beer, what a combination.
Kidding?
Imagine that.
So come and you'll be able to talk with us, and we'll show you what we're doing. We have on the software front, we've got 3 significant projects in the works. We've not announced them yet because we don't want to announce until we're actually ready to deploy. On the software front, 3. On the hardware front, we have a lot of stuff going on, and over the next 2-3 months, we should have some really unique products out that all talk well and combine with our platform. We're excited about it. So I think we can start now. I'm Bill Northrup. This is Eric Urrutia and Lori. Lori, better put your camera on so everybody there.
Hi guys, good morning.
All right.
Everybody here.
So Eric's got he's been good enough to get up. Well, he always gets up at 5:30 in the morning. So it's just after 6 his time. So we're going to let him go and do the introduction to the iManifold. And again, remember, any questions you have, use the chat, and we'll work on those and do our best to answer them. And then, of course, all this is going to be recorded, and it'll be up on our website, so you can refer to it at any time. Or go to Tech Talk on our website. Any further questions, clarifications, anything you want. So without further ado, over to you, Eric.
There we go.
I see.
Good morning, everybody.
All right.
Eric Urrutia with North Park Innovations. Today we're going to go over just your basic startup and everything with your iManifold or your iConnect. So unboxing it's very easy. Just put all your probes out in front of you, and whether you're going to get to work on an iManifold or if you're going to get to work with a iConnect, one of the important things that you need to do, of course, is make sure you put the batteries in properly. And I know it's funny, we've all done this around Christmas time for the kids, everything else, but on the polarities, make sure that the polarities are correct when you are putting the batteries into it. It will make a difference as far as we have protection here about the unit getting shocked. So if you've ever charged from 410A, you're going to build up some stacked electricity, you touch the manifold, boom, you get hit with a shock. This way the manifold is unaffected, but it is sensitive to your polarities on your batteries. Now your probes and everything, when you buy your probes and everything, these things already have 2 AAA batteries in them installed. They're ready to go right out of the package. So you don't have to put any batteries in those as of yet. Right off, the only one you're going to be installing batteries on is on the iManifold or the iConnect itself. So getting started with this, make sure you did download the application right off the App Store, the Apple App Store, or the Google Play Store. Now, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all so you can see where we're going here right from the beginning.
Eric, while you're bringing that screen up, we had a question on the question page, which interesting, it popped up in a different place than the chat. So if you wouldn't mind if you'd use the chat, then I'll be looking at that. But one of the questions was, do you get any NATE points for this training? At this time, no, but we are contemplating actually putting together a more formalized program that would allow you to get credits in various organizations. So we are working on that. But for this one, that's not.
Yeah, this one, there's no NATE points, but I'm a NATE proctor. I administer the testing and everything else, and I am working on a training platform to where you will get NATE points for it. So that is in the future.
Thanks, Eric.
So as you see on my screen here, we've got our iManifold app. Once that's loaded up, we'll go ahead and open it. Now the application's up. So with your batteries into your system, what we're going to do right now is we're going to pair up the system. Now, mind you, this is on an Android device. If you have an Apple device, when you open up the application, you go up here to the gear menu and tap it and hit connect to iManifold. On the Apple devices, it will find your manifold for you. We're going to go at it with an Android device. So right now, I just turned on my iManifold. iConnect I'm using right now. Whether you use iManifold or iConnect is going to be the same process. So on the Android device, you need to cut down, open up your Bluetooth. And you'll see that there's available devices. This one right here, it happens to be the iManifold A20354. Now that number right there is the actual serial number that's on the back of your device, whether it's iManifold or iConnect. So with the system on, we're going to pair the system up. So up on the top here, you have the power button and also you have a Bluetooth button. We're going to tap the Bluetooth button. And as you can see, the Bluetooth lights on the front of the iManifold or iConnect are going to start flashing. Now, go ahead and tap your iConnect A20354, and it'll go into pairing. Now we have the paired devices. Now we're done. Now you're going to go into your connect to iManifold, and boom, you're connected. If you had more than one, it would bring up the different serial numbers. I apologize. You'll have A20354, A10, whatever. You'll see a few of them on there. You just need to identify which one you're working with, because you as a user use more than one iManifold, not at the same time, but say your buddy's got one, you use it every now and then, you can identify and have that thing paired up as well. So now that we're connected to the iManifold, it's about getting all these probes paired into your system so we can get to work. Right now, the manifold or the iConnect is active. Now we're simply going to go down here to wireless probes. We're going to open up our wireless probes. And as you see, there's no wireless probes that are currently part of the network. Tap anywhere to add wireless probes to this network. Follow further instructions on the next screen. It's very simple to get your probes going. On the iManifold.
Eric, excuse us, you've got a question there from Shane. Can you set one as default?
An iManifold or an iConnect as a default?
I don't know, his question just says, can you set one as default?
Well, actually, it's going to be the one that you're going to fire up. It will identify that for you. You're not going to have a default necessarily. I mean, if you've got multiples like I do, I probably have 20 of them on one of my devices. I just take a look at the serial number of it right quick, connect to it. But I mean, as far as the default, it's not going to go to that same one unless if you added, say, 3 of them on there, it's going to have that list on there. But if it's just one that you're using constantly, just like what it did on mine right now, it'll connect right to it.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. So with your iManifold, you'll have 2 of these 911Ms in your kit. We'll pair these up first. So pairing these probes up, very easy. Simply touch the screen, and it'll say looking for probes here. Now the probe itself, you have 2 buttons on the probe. You'll have one power button, and you'll have a little wireless, little transmit type button here. We're going to power up the probe and observe the way this thing's flashing here. You'll have a flash, flash, pause, just like is shown on the screen. Right now, your application, your iManifold or iConnect is looking for a probe. To get a probe started up, the little transmit button here, wireless button, just tap it and let it go. Do not hold it down. As you can see on the screen here, this probe was added successfully. Would you like to add another probe to the network? You can hit yes. You're going to repeat this process until you finish pairing up all your probes. So we're going to go ahead and add more. I'm going to get my other 911M, power it. We're in pairing mode. Tap the wireless key. That one was added up successfully. Now on your iManifold or your iConnect kit, you may have purchased it with one of these. This is this is simply a temperature and repeater. I'm going to go ahead and put this one into my network as well. It's powered up, flashing properly, transmit, and we're going to add more. Now, if you have an iManifold, you can keep going. We can pair up to 12 probes on the system. If you have an iManifold that you're using it for multiple circuit, you're going to have these high and lows as well. I'm using iConnect today. My low pressure side, as you can see on my low pressure probe, I installed my service tee in here. That way I can add refrigerant, I can subtract refrigerant. This is before, of course, the flexible hose here. So we're on, our lights are correct. We're going to pair up. And I've got one more probe in my particular system here. This is my high side. The same little fitting here. If I need to subtract refrigerant, I've got it. Powering up. Transmit. And there we are. Now this was the last probe in my system, so I'm going to go ahead and select done. As you can see, after you finish pairing up all the probes, you'll see them right there on your screen. These green lights, that is showing connectivity. Now these will flash between green and yellow. Every now and then you'll get a flash of yellow. That's perfectly normal. When you get out of range sometimes, depending upon how far away you are, it's going to take a pretty good distance. You'll see that this light will turn yellow. It'll stay yellow for a second. It could pick up on another one. Don't worry about it until it turns red. When that thing turns red here, that means you've lost connectivity of that particular probe. Different placements, that'll help it out. But as you can see, it'll give you a status here. And this is your battery status on each one of the probes right here. So we've got pretty good status on all of our probes. Everything's communicating. Our batteries are fine. But now let's go to take a look at these. These go into your supply and return. Well, which is which? You can identify them to keep them permanently identified, or it's a simple thing. The system is working. You've got cold air coming out of the supply. You've got warm air coming into the return. If you place the probes, whichever way they are, and you need to assign them, right here we've got humidity and temperatures. I'm going to go in here and select probe number 1. Now, mind you, I don't know which one it is on either one of these yet. I select probe number 1, it opens up the probe here. Right now, we've got a return air dry bulb temperature of 77.2 and return air relative humidity. Now, if I wanted to change this, it's a simple thing about just tapping the temperature, and then you can map it to supply, return, or outdoor air. Rather than going over there and pulling the probe out and say, oh my gosh, I've got them reversed. It's a simple thing about right here, here's our supply air. If I want to switch that, I can tap return air. And as you can see, I've got return air dry bulb now, but my probe number 1, it skipped its mapping. So just always make sure, open up both of those, make sure you got them in place. The 77.2 is my supply air. So now I've got my supply air and my return air mapped up. If you want to go ahead and identify your probe, put them both in your hand. And we'll take probe number 1. We'll go here to this gear menu on the probe itself. We'll open that up. Now, as you can see, you got a few selections on there. Remove, start, wink, and map it. Mapping, the shortcut is just to touch the temperature. Now, if you want to wink a probe, this is probe number 1. We're going to wink. And we'll take a look here and see which one is which. And as you can see, this probe right here, the light's blinking very quickly. That's what it's winking. So this one being the supply, what you may want to do to identify and keep it identified is just put a piece of tape around the probe itself. You can put a little blue piece of tape or whatever piece of tape that would obviously tell you if it's supply or return, or you can just simply put a mark on here and just use an S on here, write supply on there, however you want. So identifying the probe is very easy. If you need to switch them around, very easy to do as well. Now that we have all of our probes mapped up, we're going to add some temperatures now. So we have our supply and our returns. We're going to place those. Now our high side probe here. On each one of these probes, there are 2 temperature inputs on the side here. The one closest to the tip here is T1. One behind it is T2. Now T1 on this high side probe is it's pre-mapped to our liquid line temperature. So we're going to go ahead and add our temperatures here. This is one of our strap probes. Very simple to use. This plugs into the probe itself, or if you have an iManifold, you're going to be plugging these temperatures into the back. Now, as a default on the iManifold, we've got T1 through T4. On the back of the iManifold, T1 is suction line temp. Number 2 is liquid line temp. T3 is discharge line temp, and T4 is where you're going to plug in your outdoor air temperature sensor. Okay, with using the iConnect, we're putting those temperatures on our probes. So like I said, T1 here on my high side is liquid line temperature. Take the mini plug it into T1 over here on my high side probe. Now, as well on the high side, I'm going to be using discharge line temperature. So I've got my 905 clamp here, and I'm going to use this on T2. Sorry about my squeaky chair. Okay.
Hey, Eric, we got a question. Is there a specific place to install the probes in the supply and return?
Yeah, I'll go over that in just a second.
Perfect.
I'll go over that in just a second about that. Yes,
right.
sir, definitely. That makes a big difference.
Good.
So right now on my high side here, I've got my liquid line temp on T1, my discharge line temp on T2. Now we're going to go ahead and open up this probe. We're going to go to the high pressure probe and open this up. As you can see, we have no pressures on here. I'm not hooking this up live. We've got our liquid line temp shown. That's automatically mapped. Our T2 here that I'm using for my discharge line temperature, I just need to map that. And to map that, I just tap the temperature. As you can see, it gives me a menu of what I can map it to. This one, we're going to use discharge line temperature. I map it to DLT. There's my liquid line temp, my discharge line temp, my high pressure, and this would be my subcooling hooked up. On our low side probe, me using iConnect right now, I need a place to put my my outdoor air temperature as well. So on this low side probe, I'm going to use T1 for my suction line temp. And T2, I'm going to go ahead and use my, I use a 903M, which is the 12-foot long sensor, so I can get this thing into good neutral condensing air. And we'll plug that into T2 on the low side probe. We'll open up this low side probe. And as you can see here, we have our suction line temperature showing, and we have T2, just like we had on the other side there. That was going to be discharge line temperature. We're going to tap the temperature. And this, we're going to map this to ODA, outdoor air. So as you can see, I've got suction line temp, outdoor air temperature, my superheat, my low pressure. Now let's take a look at our manifold right quick. Up here in the upper left-hand corner. As you can see, we have no pressures. There's our saturation temperatures. We're not hooked in right now. There's all of our active temperatures, and we have them all there. We have our suction line, our liquid line, our discharge line temperature, and our outdoor air temperature. So we're ready to roll with this. We can hook this up. You're going to gauge this thing up just the same way you would normally. If you're using iManifold, it's a manifold. You have your hoses. You have the you're going to hook them up to your suction line, your liquid line, your temperature placement. Same thing. Now, one thing that I want to discuss about temperature on the probes that we're using here, it's very sensitive, it's very accurate, and a little bit more care has to be taken with your thermistors here. These thermistors are very easy to use. You've got a wide range of sizes that you can use these thermistors on. This is a stretch cord, not a piece of Velcro. So in using these, it's just a matter of placing the thermistor up on top of the piping, pull up over the top, and there's a little V pinch here. That is just all you have to do is just pull the elastic cord through the V pinch, and it'll snap itself in there. Very simple. Take it off, just pull it up, and it's off. Now on these thermistors here, you'll see that they're black when you get them. Now over time, this little black coating will start coming off. Don't worry about that. That's not trashing the sensor or anything else. But the thing is, when you do have a dirty piece of pipe, do not put the sensor up on top and wrench it around thinking that you're going to get a better connection. Clean the piece of pipe off. Just take a Scotch-Brite pad, or if you use you know, a small piece of sandpaper, just clean it off, wipe it, and then place your thermistor on there. Don't wrench it around because it will tear that thermistor off. It's a very thin piece of copper on there. Whether you use the straps or you use the clamps, it's the exact same thermistor that's in there. They're both the same. Okay, so now we've got all of our temperatures showing. Now we're going to be placing our supply and return probes. Where do we put these things? A long time ago, when we first started this, everybody was placing these probes just above the evaporator. They put their supply line, I mean, just 4 inches above the evaporator. Not exactly the best choice. The supply side, use the first available, the best register that you can. Don't go right above the coil. If you go right above the coil, number one, the air is going to be very, very cold. That's not the real product that you're giving to the customer. And also, it's going to be saturated. You have very, very high humidity. Get it out, get to go ahead and do some air mixing. If you want to put them in the ductwork, go 10 or 12 feet down the line. Let it mix up with some air. That'll give you your best result. Using it in newer homes or commercial buildings, whatever you want. A good register is a fantastic place to put it. Just make sure that you get it within the airflow. Now, talking about the airflow on these, you've got your switch side and your battery cover side. Now on this probe, right here in the tip, this is where the actual sensor is. We unscrew this tip, and if you do unscrew this tip, please be careful. Don't touch the sensor itself. But as you can see on the switch side, basically the front of the probe, there's nothing on the end here. The sensor itself is actually along the back side. You see this little black box over here, that's the actual sensor tip. And that's on the side where the battery cover is. So just keep that in mind when you're getting this into the flow of air, that airflow does come over this sensor tip on which side, because if you've got strong airflow going at face-wise, it's probably not going to give you any airflow across the tip. Either kick it sideways or turn it around. Make sure you get airflow over the tip of this. On the return side, if you have a ceiling mounted return with the filter in there, you can go ahead and drop that down. Put the probe right up into the return. If you get a wall mount, sidewall mount, and it's a bar type, you can go ahead and poke that in there, just as long as it's within the airflow. Now, same thing applies about the tip. Tip on the same side, just make sure that airflow is coming across it. Let's see now. Now, as far as these humidity probes go, do not get the tip wet. Don't. That's another thing. When you saturate the tip, you're going to get it'll stay saturated. Anything that's measuring humidity and everything, the tip is actually getting saturated. Well, let's not get it overly saturated and keep it for a long time saturated, because it'll retain that water for a while. These tips have to dry out. So when you're storing these, after you're done with your job, shut them down. What I like to do is I put them in my backpack, good and protected. If you're in humid climates, if you've ever seen these little desiccant bags, there's Damp Rid that sells little packets. You can use these in a gallon Ziploc bag. Throw a Damp Rid in there and put your probes in there. You wouldn't believe what kind of a difference it makes. It keeps that thing dry, nice and dry. Do we have any questions right now, Bill?
I think, well, I'm sorry, we do.
Questions here.
Guy asked, how would I join the website to access Tech Talk? So is all you have to do is go to Tech Talk and sign up. You can see it online. It's a link on our website along the top.
And Bill, that's specifically at iManifold.com is the main website.
Thank you for that. Yes. Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm going to go down this list here.
And Bill, you might like to welcome some of the folks on the call. Give Eric a break there.
Yeah. Yeah. We were going down through the list and we see Charles from Richmond, Texas. And I know that's down near Houston. Charles, I hope you're doing all right, and I hope you didn't get flooded out too badly. That must have been quite the evolution to see that. So anyway, there you had a question. Charles actually did. Mapping probes, when set, do they stay how you set them? He said he got lucky. Good, Charles. I'm glad you did. So, Eric, Charles had the question, when you're mapping probes, when set, do they stay how you set them?
Yes, they do stay how you set them. The only time that I've ever had to jump around is when I go from Android to Apple. And then it might kick out the mapping, but it's like I just showed you, it's very simple to map these things.
Okay, because
I had a question from Jason.
Yeah.
We recommend to leave the temperature sensors plugged into the back of the manifold. On the back of the manifold, when you set these up, we have a video about managing the manifold itself. And when you've got your hoses attached, I usually take my temperature sensors and run them down the hose with little Velcro straps, just to make sure I've got the suction side and the liquid side identified, so I don't have just a mess of wires in the back. And then at the bottom of my hose, I'll take the surplus of it, wrap it around, and put a Velcro right there, and just give myself about, a 1.5 feet on the bottom, so they're ready when I am. I simply just drop them down, attach them. Your suction line is on your suction line side, your liquid line, the liquid line side, everything's there. So you can take a look at that video and see about managing your manifold. There's some good ideas on there. And also, guys, if you have ideas about something that you're doing that works out really well for you, don't be afraid to suggest it to us. We'll publish that. If it's a great idea to work with, let's do this. Anything to make it easier. Let's see here. I guess that was all those questions.
Yeah, those are great. We appreciate them.
Hope we didn't go, running by too fast. After you're done, when you're finished up with your job and everything, putting the manifold away, just put it back in your backpack. I see a lot of guys that are making their own hard cases, which is really, really nice. I've seen from the extent of a very high dollar Pelican box, these survival boxes. I've seen tons of those. Gun cases work really well. They're cutting the foam out. I really appreciate, and that's admirable about these guys, how well they take care of the tools. Let's face it, these tools are the things that they're paying the car payment, they're paying the house payment, they're putting food on the table. If you got the best of the best, I admire that. Take care of them. I do the same thing with mine. Although I did put these tools to the test, just for the durability factor. I want to see that they're just not they're not pretty and they work well, but they're also durable. So yes, they can take some punishment. Now, there was a question before regarding battery life. Now, battery life on these things, it of course depends on where you're at. The heat here kills batteries a lot faster than it does anywhere else. Batteries that we use that are packed with, they're just regular alkaline batteries. A good suggestion I would have is to use the lithium batteries. Lithium batteries are not subject to temperature as much as an alkaline battery. If you're a refrigeration guy and you're working in a walk-in and this thing's 10 below zero, it's a good possibility that right around zero, your alkaline batteries are probably going to peter out on you. Where the lithium batteries, I think those things are 40 below zero, and of course you get more life out of them. Now, if you're going to go to rechargeable batteries on your iManifold itself, using them in the probes is not going to make a difference. Now, using them in the iManifold or the iConnect, you're going to have to change a setting. So if you do go to these batteries, go up to your gear menu over here, open that up, and as you can see, we've got configuration here. We're going to open up configuration, and you see your battery type is standard. We do have options for that. If we want to edit this is another thing, your auto shutdown. When you get your system, that auto shutdown is for 5 minutes. I suggest 30 minutes or more, depending upon you. What it does, if there's no readings going back and forth to the manifold or the iConnect, it's going to shut down after 5 minutes of idle use. So to edit those, just tap edit. Now here's the name of your system here. Whether it's an iConnect or an iManifold, you'll see what it is and your serial number. Now, if you want to, you can change the name of it. Bill's iConnect, Eric's iManifold, whatever you want to put on there. But down here, you'll see that the serial number, this is all electronically embedded. The serial number cannot be changed. Name can be changed. Your shutdown time, simply tap the bubble, and you can go 5, 10, 20, 30, 60 minutes, or have it never shut down. Whatever you want to shut down, I'm selecting 30 minutes. And your battery type. Standard batteries would be for standard alkaline batteries and your lithiums. If you do use rechargeables, please select rechargeable. They discharge at a different rate than standard batteries, and it'll optimize the life of your rechargeables. So we're using standards. We'll keep the standards, and of course, we'll submit that.
Hey, Eric, if you're at a pausing point, could we take a moment and introduce Caroline Dickey?
Absolutely. Caroline, where are you?
Hey, good morning, guys.
There's Caroline.
Good morning. So Caroline joined our team and is working on sales of both the iManifold and our training unit product line. And so I thought everybody'd like to have a chance to say hello.
Morning.
Caroline's up in our New York area, but you can always reach her by phone. You can reach all of us by phone. Reach out to us. We actually do answer our phones. So give us a ring. Email. Go to our website. If you have questions, suggestions, anything, go to Tech Talk. Tech Talk is where you can get to us probably the quickest, if not just by phone. Let's see here. Now I'm going to go into some basic use on the iManifold. So let me share my screen again.
And Eric, I don't know if you have time. There is one repair if you drop the probe. So we have 10 more minutes.
Yeah, we got some time here.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go over some quick. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you how to quickly profile the system and see what you're looking at. Now, you guys can practice with this anytime you want. And we're going to just put in a little bit of demo information, and you'll be able to play around with it and make a report and things like that. But more of that to identify things that you're actually using the system for. So let's see here. Right now, I'm going to disconnect from my iManifold. So that's going to be your gear menu up here, and then simply disconnect. Readings go away. Now we're not connected anymore. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to input in some demonstration information. Now you can follow me along and you can do this as well. So I'm going to go to our measurements tab, open up measurements. All the way down here at the bottom, it says demo data. Open this up. And as you can see, I've got AC 410A, 16 SEER TXV. Now I'm going to go ahead and use that. And we're going to confirm this demo. As you can see, what it did right now was just populate a whole bunch of numbers here. We don't have any targets displayed. Gosh darn it. We don't have any targets displayed. We've got nothing where we actually should be until we go in and put in the profile and some other information. The profile in the system, we're going to go over here to our bar menu, open it up, and right here, equipment profiling. Now, the profile of the piece of equipment is very important to input in. It's simply the efficiency, 10, 16, 18. There's a range of where it needs to be. The configuration of the system, whether it's a straight cool unit, it's a heat pump, or it's a low temp refrigeration type system. It's going to need the metering device at the evaporator. So if it's TXV, automatic TXV, electronic TXV, fixed orifice, it's going to ask for that. Now let's go ahead and just make a profile right quick. Profile new system. This is how to profile. It's going to ask you for the refrigerant. If it's not 410A, simply tap that box and select your refrigerant. Let's keep it at 410A. The system type, whether it's AC, heat pump, or refrigeration, we're going to go ahead and do a heat pump this time. As you can see, it'll ask you what mode it's in, cooling or heating. We're in cooling. Indoor metering device. We're using a standard TXV. Benchmark here. Benchmark, we can go into another training about that. unless you're doing several units that are basically the same type of unit, you don't need to benchmark. Condenser type custom condenser, we use that for low temp situations because their design temperature differentials could be a lot different from what we have here, but on our standards here, 6 to 8, 10 to 12, 13 to 16, 18 to 22 SEER. We'll use our high efficiency 13 to 16 SEER. There are no head pressure controls on AC and heat pumps. If you did select a refrigeration profile, you got fan cycling, speed control, air dampers, and condenser flooding controls. But we've got nothing on that. Our evaporator type, custom evaporator, like I said, on custom applications. For HVAC and commercial and residential, we've got high latent, standard operation, high sensible. 90% of the time, you're going to just use standard operation. And our superheat and our subcooling, our targets. Now, depending upon if it is a fixed orifice or it's a TXV, these numbers are changeable. This particular system we're going to look at right now has a subcooling target of 15. So we'll use 15. We'll create a quick profile. We're going to name this. And then this button right here, the submit button, that's your best friend. Anytime you're going to adjust any information, you're going to change any type of measurements, make sure good and certain that you hit the submit. Otherwise, it will not input that information. So we tap submit. This is just making sure that we want to create a quick profile. And now this will give us an opportunity to name it. We can name it whatever we like, or we can auto name. I'm going to show you how this name works. We'll just put in here test. 1, 2, 3. We hit enter. Our screen pulls up again. There's the name of our profile. Our pressures, low and high. Saturation temperatures on the evap and the condenser side. Our superheat. Now, mind you, if we were live information, these numbers would be fluctuating around just a touch. But our superheat and our subcooling, our active temperatures, our suction line temp, liquid line temp, discharge line temp, and outdoor air temperature, everything's displayed. Now the profile there, that just told us what the configuration of the system was. We're going to take a look and we're going to enter our tonnage so we can get our airflow. So based off the information on the system, I'm going to go back in here down to measurements. Open up our measurements tab. We can take a look at our pressures, our temperatures, air across the evaporator. That's what our 911Ms are picking up. Airflow and nominal tonnage. Now this is where we're going to have to enter in our tonnage. Open up that tab. Our airflow method is estimated auto-calculated. That's with your 911Ms and a profile. And you can see our nominal tonnage. Now when I put in that profile, it puts in 3. If we had a 2.5 ton, we would enter 2.5. If it was a 3.5, 3.5. Just make sure that you do not put BTUs in there, because if you did, it was a 3-ton nominal system, like it is here. You put in the 3 and hit submit. If you put in BTUs 36,000, it's going to look for 36,000 BTUs of airflow, which we don't have. So now we have our tonnage in there. Tap submit. Our tonnage is in there. Now let's go ahead and put an electrical measurement in here, because we can get EER in here as well. So we open up our electrical. As you can see, there is a connect to multimeter. Now there is a multimeter right now that works with our system. It's called the Redfish. It'll take your voltage and amperage, enter it in wirelessly. Now we are working with a couple of others right now to get them in. UEI's on the plate. That should be here in the next, Bill, what do you think? How long until we get UEI in here?
Oh, we're hoping 30 days.
Okay.
Yeah, or less. We hope that. We've got a couple other manufacturers we're connecting up with, and yeah, we'll really be completing. It'll be nice.
here with the electrical, the configuration of the system, whether it's a split or it's a package, single phase 240 volts. Now this is pre-populated information from the demo. You would be putting in voltage and your amperage on both sides here, and just make sure, just like I said, this button's your buddy. Hit submit. Now all of our information is in here. We've got electrical in here. We have our nominal tonnage, and we're pulling all this information. So on the bottom here, you see the arrows. This will scroll back and forth between screens here as far as active temps. I go over here to my left side, and I just tapped over here. With all this information, we're calculating. There's our tonnage that we're producing. There's our BTUs, 34,253 BTUs. Our temperature split between our supply and return is 20 degrees. And with the electrical input that we just put in here, we've got a 10.93 EER. Pretty amazing here. So I'm going to keep going on this left side arrow. There's our targets. 118 on the suction side. As you can see, when we put in that profile, this little tic tac up here, that's our target. On our high side over here, that little tic tac, that's our target there. We've got a 12-degree superheat target and a 15-degree subcooling target. Now, mind you, I changed that because of the design of the system. You can see that on the nameplate of the condenser. That's where you're going to get it. If you can't find it there, Google is a great resource to find that, just to get the specs on it. You'll be able to get your design subcooling. Now on the screen here, you see that we've got these little graphs here. This is discharge line temperature. Anything that's right here in the middle, this was done on purpose aesthetically. So you can just take a look at it. You'll see the graphs and everything's floating right there in the middle. Everything's happy. And as you can see, this is our little troubleshooting triangle. And that's green and happy. The system's operating normally. So back over here to our menu, going over here on the air side. This is when you see the air side measurement, supply and return, both dry bulb and wet bulb. Those are coming off of your 911Ms. Active temperatures, that's all your thermistors that you placed on the piping, suction line, liquid line, discharge line temp, and there's your outdoor air temperature as well. And back to performance. Now at any time, if you want to take a look at full system performance, go to your 3-bar menu up here, open it up, and you'll see a tab down here, system performance. And this is what your system is doing. Mind you, all the numbers here, when you're hooked up live, those numbers are going to vary. They're going to be moving around a bit. Your airflow, your capacity, your additional measurements, you know, in and out, enthalpy, dew points, heat ratios, your references here, your barometric pressure, that's all built in. We don't have the elevation here because it's not going live. That goes off of your smart device. Your temperature split for your VAP, your target, you know, your deviation from your targets, everything is shown here. Your dehumidification and your electrical. How many watts your condenser, your 800 watts total, and then your BTUs here, 34,253 divided by those watts, and you'll get a 10.93 ER. Very nice, and how much information you get.
It is impressive. Eric, we're just about where we're a little bit over.
If you wanted to hang out for just a second, I'm just going to go over real quick.
There you go. Cool.
Okay.
Perfect.
So thanks for everybody's time. A lot of times, what will happen is these probes, they get put up high and they get dropped, and then suddenly the system's not working. All of a sudden, you know, this thing's not. It's not giving you a temperature, or it's giving you some wacky temperature. We'll show you how to pull this apart real quick. And what normally will happen is if this falls on the tip, it'll dislodge the daughter board from the motherboard that's actually in the probe. So just remember, as we showed a few minutes ago, the back where the battery cover is the same side that the sensor is on. Because we're going to need to know that to put this back together. So as you can see, you've got 4 screws across the back. There's no need to take off the battery cover. Now, I'm still powered up on here. I'm going to shut this down. And the 4 screws are coming off.
You know, that is the thing about this platform. It really is a product that you can maintain and repair a lot of times in the field. And but of course we you know, we're very happy to have you return them if you want us to do any of the work. Of course, the equipment is 2 years warranty, and so it's we're pleased to really support the product. But there you go, Eric.
Okay, so now I've got the 4 screws removed. The top cover, the battery cover, is going to come off. And as you can see, you've got your batteries right here, you've got your board setting. Now, when these things unplug, this will disconnect from the motherboard here. When this thing's disconnected, it's not going to give you any type of a measurement. Nothing on there. Just make sure that when you have your board, you'll take this off. Now, on some of the older units here, I want to show you that there is a, on this particular one, we don't have it. But on the other side of this board, there's a small reset button. On these newer ones, there is no reset. It's going to be just the fact that this thing will pull off. So if you're having an issue and it's not the daughter board, contact us. I'll do a little field check on it real quick. And then it could either be that the tip needs replacement or the motherboard needs to be replaced. But on the older systems, if you have generation 1 probes that have a serial number that begins with A10, on the back of this little board, there's a little tiny switch, and you're going to cycle the switch a couple of times, and the switch needs to be put in the outbound position, and that'll reset that board. Now, if this is just simply where it comes off, the daughter board comes away from the motherboard, you're going to set this batteries up, and you'll take a look at your tip here, tip up, and this will pop through. Now, these things have a little bit of silicone in the tip. If you need to re-silicone, it's just a very small dab. Don't get it near the tip. Electronic silicone will work perfectly. Now, battery's up, sensor tip is up, and you'll see that they, I'm going to go ahead and knock this one out of here. Okay, there's your tip in hand. Board is up, and we simply plug it back in. And that's set in there. Now, when you look at it, it's going to look kind of funny because the boards don't match up. That's exactly the way it needs to be. Batteries up, sensor tip up. Okay, just remember that. Then you can put the probe back together. And run this back up. Slide that over. Little dab of silicone on here just to make sure. Take your cover, place it back over the top, and go ahead and reinstall your 4 screws. You'll be ready to go.
Great. Hey, Eric, there was a question here. Do we have a training video on the 921M?
There's an old video online still.
Right. That's what I was thinking. We probably need to do one.
We'll re-up that.
An updated one. Yep, we do.
In the 921M, when you're using the 921M, it pairs into the system just like anything else. Now, just remember when you take a look at it on the tip here where you've got your plugs, there's magnets on the back so you can stick it onto a piece of ductwork. But just it's very faint and it's hard to see, but you've got minus and plus over here. So depending upon, glad to see eyesight going, right? So when you plug in your hoses here, you got minus and plus over here to go either supply or return side. Now, when you want to on the 911M or 921M, let's see here. Well, you know what? We'll do a whole other
I was going to say,
video on it because I don't want to go into it right now, but it's very simple. There's an old video. We'll get an active video back up on it.
or of course, reach out to us anytime.
Yep.
So we're available.
You can call us up. I can walk you through it right over the phone until we get that video.
Great. Well done, Eric. Thank you. That was
Thanks for your time, everybody.
nice job. Thank you.
Like I said, if you have any other questions, reach out to us. Questions about anything, operating, probe placement, an issue you might have, just reach out to us. We're here for you. Give us a
Thanks,
ring.
you guys, for a great session. Thanks to everybody for joining us from all around the country.
Thank you all.
Our future sessions.
Great.
Thanks.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye. Good luck, all you folks in Florida.